are more than just the...
Okay, on the videos on YouTube, it'll tell you how to do a roster. We're on here someplace. Understanding engagement agreements, managing your roster, requesting food, creating events, tracking attendance, managing funds. SLD efforts with Albert.
Watch it. Don't go to YouTube. Just wait for us to help you on Trudy.
Okay. So, sorry, we don't know why it's not working here, and I don't know how to connect a Mac to this. So
It's also not working for users as well, because like we both have the same problem of logging in, and like we're listed presidents on our rosters, but yeah, we can't.
What
click on
organization?
anything. GCG.
okay, we'll figure it out. Like, I also don't know if it's just this room that doesn't like us.
The internet is bad.
It's like wonky here, right? Is that just me? It's like taking forever. So you can look on there as soon as you're able to manage it. It also might be Collegiate Link is they're doing updates, so that might be it as well, because they just combined the finance part with the engagement part. So that might be another thing to do. So that doesn't really help us. One thing. Oh, where are you? Okay, but one thing also to just, if you want to see events, you can go here and you can do it. Shout out to Independent for putting in your meetings. I would suggest you all put in your meetings, if you can, if you know where they are. But I would also suggest that you would put Independent weekly meetings, so that you can see it down here. It makes it easier if it's in the headline.
Yeah, just remember that if your organization is looking to recruit, these weekly meetings are important because students come to us sometimes first and say, oh, I want to do something in marketing or accounting, so that I'll try and loop in the president's email with the prospective student, but sometimes the president's just so bombarded with emails because more than likely they're a president or a junior working on projects, so then the prospective student gets kind of lost in that way. So then, but for us, I'll be able to look up their events and say, oh, they have a meeting Tuesday, 3 o'clock at the Beehive building or La Wasa Hall, so then I'll send them over there. So it's important to update as many events as you can.
Now the keyboard will work. Okay, so I'm going to just go over changes. Sorry, I don't know what else to do.
It's okay. But you all will get an email from me either today or tomorrow about our weeks of welcome. So those are opportunities for your organization to attend together and collectively too. So wait for an email from me again. But thank you all for your time. Sorry it wasn't more organized.
Okay, so I'm just going to, we all have to just kind of visualize it. On Collegiate Link, that's where you do your roster. That's where you can invite people and people can get added to your roster. That's where you're going to assign positions. On there as well, you're creating events. It's on the video of how to create events. What you need to know is the only part that hasn't changed, nothing has really changed on the events part. Just know that when you upload an event, it takes a while for us to create it or to approve it. But then it should take hopefully less than 3 business days for us to get around to doing it. If you're creating an event but you're still seeking COC funding, it will not be approved until the COC approves the event. But if it's a regular meeting, it's a regular bake sale, it should be an easy approval and it will go right up onto the website. We're encouraging everybody to do service hours or to log in their service hours, because I don't think anybody has in a while. I think FIOTAs were really good at one point in time, and then they all graduated, and then new people haven't done it. But on the sub-menu, there is a part for service hours. How many of your organizations do some sort of service hours? Okay, so what we would like you to start doing is to log in your individual service hours, so even if you have it outside of the organization, but you just want to track it, or if you are the philanthropy chair or the person who's in charge of doing that service project, you can actually go in and add them all in and approve it. The reason for this is more and more often people are asking for their transcripts, their co-curricular transcripts. And when you're logging in service hours, when you're logging in that people are members of organizations, all of that gets put onto their co-curricular transcript. And so if they're, especially if they're applying for grad school, things of that nature, and they want to see what else they've done outside of classes, that's really helpful. And then hopefully we can start adding in people's internships or other things along the way. So service hours is also a video. Documents is also in there. So your constitutions are always there because we've logged them in. So if you update your constitution, please let us know. If you have no clue what your constitution says, please go there and look for it. You can also put in your minutes there, and the reason that that's helpful is that if you all of a sudden, when you graduate and all of the officers graduate and you all go peace, and you all leave and you don't try to help the people who are coming after you, they can at least go to the documents and they can see what the minutes were, what the agendas are, and things of that nature. There's a photo gallery in there. We're always asking people to upload because at the end of the year, we will do a recognition of all of the student organizations. And then always somebody will say, you never put any of my pictures up. And I'm like, I'm not going to search your Facebook. I don't know how to find your things unless we go to the gallery. So that's where we're pulling in a lot of the recognition photos when we do a slideshow, if we need to update the website and put pictures on there. So forms are on there so you can do any kind of surveys you want to do, and then elections are on there as well to facilitate elections throughout the end of the year. That's what Albert was going to show you. Okay, so I'm going to pass around. Funding, how many organizations have asked for funding before? Okay, how many organizations have never asked for funding? Okay, please ask for funding. It's there for you. We have every organization, so even if it's developmental, Veronica will go over this more in detail, but there's 3 different ways that you can get funding for your organization so that you have some money to work with. Developmental is one, and that is, it's $100 a semester, and you can request that on Collegiate Link once that goes up live again. But that is for if you are doing some kind of social event, some recruiting event. So let's say you want to have your first meeting and you want to have pizza from Avian's, or you want to, some people have used developmental for promotions to get shirts, I think you can use it for that, to have a banner or to have a tablecloth, things of those natures. That's what your $100 developmental is for. It's to develop your membership, so recruitment, but then also retention. So a lot of things, think about this as well, is that a lot of times organizations have used it at the end of the year for recognition parties of their own organization. To either get certificates, or to get graduation stoles, or to get, I don't know, pins of whatever. So that, please use your developmental. It's, we have a certain amount of money, and we've, in the 5 years that I've been here, we've never even come close to hitting that balance, and we just end up moving it over. So that's one way you can get money. The other one is your earned income. Veronica will go over that. That's your fundraising money. And then the next one is is the Council of Clubs. So you all participate in a student activity fee automatically by going to classes and registering, right? So we have a pool of money. This year, our pool of money is $80,000. And I need, let me see. Okay. Did everybody get one of these? If you didn't, I think Veronica has more. But did you all get this? Okay, I'll see if there's some in the back. It says funding of events through COC. Okay, you're useless. Okay. So I'm just going to go over what COC is. Is this videotaping me?
Yes.
What the? So Council of Clubs is the part of student government. So there's Senate, and then there's Council of Clubs, which deals with all of the organizations, approving new organizations, looking at your charters, and then giving you money should you ask for it. On the back of your sheet should be the calendar with the deadlines to ask for funding. So it doesn't have to be a huge ask. Some people have come and only asked for $60, because that's $60 they don't have to spend of their own money, right? So just know that when you are asking for funding, the deadlines are, as you can see it on the back of the sheet, but you have to put in the proposal by the Tuesday before the COC meeting on the Thursday. Otherwise, it's going to just, if you put it in after that, it might just get funneled to the next one. If you have to, you're like, oh crap, I was supposed to do it, I didn't do it on time, it's Wednesday and the COC meeting is tomorrow and I'm going to miss the deadline. What you can do is put in your proposal, and then on the bottom, I think we put it on the bottom, you need to contact the SGA treasurer and ask to be, if you can go on the agenda. And then what you're going to have to do is go there, and you won't, because you missed the deadline, what you have to do is you have to present why you missed the deadline, and then the COC, the council will vote if they're going to suspend the bylaws to hear yours, even though it's not in the five-week deadline. Does that make sense? Okay. Well, nobody said no, so I'm going to keep going on. So the one new thing with regards to requesting funding, before it was a completely different website called Campus Labs, but now they merged it. And so now it's all in the same website of Collegiate Link, which we can't access. So hopefully that will fix soon. But it says on there how to do it. Go to Manage, go to Finance, go to Create a Budget Request. In that budget request, you'll see one for event by event, and then you'll see one for developmental. So COC meets every Thursday at 3. I'm not sure where it meets, but it usually is either here or it's in SU like 215 or something. But what it also says is please wait for the email from Asalma to confirm that you're going on that meeting. There are a lot of times that people will put in their requests and then they'll show up, but the agenda was so full we weren't going to be able to come, so they kind of wasted their time because they weren't on the agenda. If we have time, we can add them, but it's no guarantee. So just make sure that if you put in your proposal, wait for a confirmation from Asalma that you're going on that Thursday. If you're like, I really need to go on and I haven't heard anything, feel free to email her and say, I put in this proposal, is it possible for me to get on the agenda for Thursday? With this, for every single thing that you are asking money for, you have to have a quote. If you don't have a quote, we will even just strike it right then and there. There's a possibility that you can appeal if you bring in the quote the next week, but automatically if it doesn't have a quote, we will not even vote on it and we'll just strike it. So if it's a speaker you're bringing in, an email or something of that nature saying why you're asking for this money. So you have to prove that like this is how much they're going to cost, or this is what it says on their website. If you're doing something and you want to order through Amazon, go through Amazon, screenshot your checkout list. Aviance is the same way, and I'll talk about the catering down below. If you're going to get an Uber, even if you have a speaker and now you have to get the speaker from wherever they are and Uber them here, do that. If you are doing mileage reimbursement, print out the map that shows me how many miles you need reimbursed. So everything. If you have any questions, I'm always available to answer any questions that you have. You can shoot me an email, anything like that. The other thing is, all of these quotes, if you screenshot it and save it, to save yourself from copying, you can actually upload it onto Collegiate Link. And then so all of the COC Council will be able to see it, and you won't have to bring copies. I would always say at least bring 1 or 2 copies, just so you have something physical to look at, and then the chair has something physical to write on if they have to make any addendums to your request. So at least bring in 2 copies. Bring in more if you don't upload it. So for event funding, any event that you want to have that's on campus, at this campus, at CCICS, at El Centro, just remember you always have to have skin in the game, so we ask for the 10% contribution. That's where your bake sale money comes in, that's where your fundraising comes in, that's where, I don't know, if you got somebody, if you're an academic club and the department says that we'll give some money towards it, that's where their 10% would come in. If you need catering, on there it says cater via Aviance, because as Veronica said, that's our food policy, you have to go through Aviance, and we use cater tracks. So if you just Google it, you'll find it. I was going to show you, I can't, but if you Google NEIU Aviance cater tracks, you'll get the website. Some of you already have accounts. This is something new. If you want COC or SLD to pay for whatever you're ordering through Aviance, you need to use this login. So it's last name development, that's the email, and that's the password. If you don't, we might not pay for it. What happened before is people were using their own accounts but not giving us the invoice, and we never knew that you even had the money or that you did it. And Aviance, they gave you the food, and then it was like June, and they're yelling at us saying we never got paid. And I'm like, I never knew that this invoice existed. So even if you got the funding and it's approved, we still need that invoice. But it was going to your personal accounts, and then that was the issue. So now if you use this, then it's coming to our accounts. And then Mark knows that we're paying for it and we'll get it paid. So if you don't use this, I can't guarantee it's going to get paid because it might get lost someplace. So please use this email and username. Remember, when you're doing event funding, you have to put it into Collegiate Link so we know that the event is there. Reason for that is if you are using student activity fee money, it needs to be something that is announced and open to the rest of the students. And the only way we can guarantee that is if it goes on Collegiate Link. Within 10 business days of your COC confirmation, you need to schedule with Albert. He needs to know that you got the funding. Well, he'll know you got the funding, but now he knows what to do with it. What would happen is people would wait until the last minute, and then we're running around going to Dollar Store and Party City with one credit card, and we're not going to do that anymore because it depends on, like, if we have something busy to do that day, it's very hard for us to run around last minute for an event that you have in an hour, right? So what we said, so that's the other new policy is at least 10 days. And then I put 10 days after the COC confirmation, or at least 72 hours before the event. That gives us some time. If it's a contract, if it's flights for a speaker, that needs to be as soon as possible so we can pay it. But if it's like, I need food to be bought, that can be the 72 hours. So we at least know how we're gonna schedule it. So this isn't to buy everything, it's just to tell Albert this is exactly what you need bought and where it's going. If Albert's too busy, I can do it for you. If I'm too busy, Veronica can do it. And then, so if failure to meet this deadline of meeting with us and setting the meeting might mean that we're canceling your event, or that section of your funding will get cut. And then this is also new, is that within 5 days after the event, you will be sent an evaluation form through Collegiate Link, and you need to fill it out. This is very new, but it's something that we need to do. We are getting requests from the Board of Trustees that are saying we need to keep track better of the student activity fee and the level of engagement we're having. So this is one of the ways that we are fulfilling that request from the Board of Trustees and the President. So that, because they see that we keep increasing the student activity fee, but they need the proof that we're actually putting on events and that people are going to the events. So the evaluation form won't be that huge. It'll just say, like, you know, how were we in the process, so we know if there's something that we could be doing better to assist you in putting on events. It'll say how many people came to events, like, did you use all of your funding, and probably like what were some learning outcomes, you know, even if it's just people socialized or got to know more people, whatever that might be, and it's just check marks. So that is for event funding. Does anybody have any questions about event funding? Yeah?
Okay, so about back in July, I went to the COC for funding,
Uh-huh.
and then received an email maybe 2 weeks ago asking follow-up questions. When would I hear if I got it or not?
Was it for conferences?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll get to conferences in the next session, and is that a new segue? But does anybody have any questions about event-by-event funding? So it can be for a one-day event or a 3-day event, whatever. Okay, so conferences. How many organizations have gone to conferences? Okay, how many would like to go to a conference if you could find one? Okay, great. We want you all to go to conferences. We understand that that is a great part of learning and applying what you're learning in the classroom, what you're learning in your organizations, and seeing a bigger picture of it, right? But we also don't have a lot of money. So these are new things. Last year it was voted upon by student government to change this. So conferences, we need to know how much of this $80,000 pot we're going to give out to conferences so that when people are asking later on for event by event, we're all like, oh, shoot, we shouldn't have given that much out, right? So this year, and from this year forward, is that conferences are only, requests to go to a conferences have to be done within the first 4 weeks, or the first 4 sessions of COC. So you went to one in July, and then there are 3 more left. So if you want to do a conference, you need to submit it and go to a hearing by the September 12th is the last day that we'll hear it. So that means you have to put in a proposal by September 10th. Even if you have a conference and it's in March or whatever. Does that make sense? What we're doing with conferences is because we need to know how much of the pot, Asalma forgot to mention that you were hearing your conferences, but we're waiting until that September 12th day to give everybody their decisions. So that is why. If it's a conference that's happening before then, we'll try to put you first. But all the decisions for conferences, because we need to know exactly of the $80,000, $40,000 is being asked for conferences. And then that helps us to be fair in seeing how many people go. Because if you applied for a conference early in the year when we had a lot of money, people are asking for 10 people to go to a conference. And we would send all 10 because we had the money. But then when you were asking in February or March and you asked for 10 people to go, we said 2 because we don't have as much money. And that's not necessarily fair because your conference was later in the year than somebody else's, right? So that was one of the reasons why COC made the change to make it a fair thing for everyone to go. So if you haven't gone to a conference, go ahead and research and see if your organization, if there's some national thing that would allow you to go to a conference, right? Okay, so with this, for conferences, we're asking you to give at least 2 quotes. For travel, do 2 airlines, or do an airline and a train, or an airline and a rental. We just want to make sure that you've done your due diligence to try to give us the cheapest option. You know, and also for lodging. So if you only told us, you know, I don't even know what an expensive hotel is because I don't have money to stay at an expensive hotel. The Ritz, right? That's so expensive. If you only give us the quote for a Ritz-Carlton, that's not really that's not being good stewards of the money that we have, right? So we're asking you to do 2 hotel rooms. Definitely give us the quote of the hotel room that the conference is staying at, because we all understand that that one's probably the easiest because you don't have to do transportation to that place, or they sometimes will give group discounts, right? But also check an Airbnb, especially if you have a big group of people going. Check out the Airbnb to see if it's more economical to stay at an Airbnb and then just do Ubers or walk to the conference. Remember, it's a 20% contribution for conferences, not just a 10. But now COC isn't covering per diems anymore, so all of your food listed in what the expenses of the conference are, so then that can be included in your 20% that you are just going to cover. If you don't have information, let's say your conference is in March, if they don't have anything done, you can use the information that they had from the previous year's conference for like conference registration fee, hotel rooms, to give us an idea of it'll be around this much. And then if it's in March and then you finally find out in like November or December, okay, this is actually the true amount, then come back to us with that appeal and say now we have to update it because now we have the true costs of it. So appeal closer. You have to still put your conference in Collegiate Link and just put, there's a part where it says RSVP, so you can just put like no RSVP so that you know who it is. The reason we're doing that is because this is another thing that we have to give to the president and the board of trustees, is because every participant who goes to that conference, they have to fill out a I'm not sure about the definitely a post survey, so that we know that there were some learning outcomes that were given and that it's justified of why we gave $4,000 for people to go to an event, right? Somebody have a question? Brandon.
When you create an event and you choose RSVP, who sees that?
When people log into Collegiate Link and they see it, it says RSVP.
No, I mean like who sees the list of people that have RSVP for your event?
We do. We can always give it to you. You should be able to see it too, though, under Manage. Not a lot of people do it, though. It's not a practice for people just see the event and they don't hit RSVP. I think the first one we'll try to do that is Fall Fest, and then we'll see kind of how that works. I don't think anybody's ever RSVP before. Okay, so then every participant has to fill out a post survey to just say that they went, that they learned something of that nature. And then just help us remember that when you go, we sometimes are very busy and we forget to do all of the forms that we're supposed to do for you, which then holds up when you want to get reimbursed for something. So on here it says, there always has to be a stair filled out, so if you're the person who's in charge of organizing the conference, make sure we filled out the stair, make sure we filled out the list of travelers. If you're doing a rental car voucher, know that you can do it through school. We have enterprise student rate. Eric told me, Eric, are you still in the back there? Eric Winslow? He ran away. Eric Winslow, the Vice President of Student Government, told me that they're trying to work on a perk for all students is that if you ever wanted to use a rental car, you can give a code and you would get a student discount. So keep that in the back of your head. And then if you're needing reimbursements for Ubers or travels or something like that, a group travel voucher that we fill that out after you get back. So that's it for conferences. Does anybody have any questions? Yeah.
If you're hosting a conference on campus, does that, like, do you still have to abide by the conference rules, or would you do that as an event?
You could probably just do that as an event by event because it's on campus. The reason conferences are a little bit separate is only the people who go there can partake in that. So we know that per person that will be that. If you're hosting, let me think about it. Can you try to put it in with the conferences just so we know? Because sometimes your conferences can be a big expense.
Yeah.
And so if it's a bigger expense, let's do it in the beginning. Because then you can also then be able to plan it out for the year and you don't have to worry about it.
Okay.
So I think, what conference is it for?
It's the Green Initiative Conference. It's
Okay.
annual.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So to do that one, I think the Women's Worth Conference, that's held here. FIST usually does like a mass incarceration conference. There's another conference that's held. So the bigger items, because you know you're going to have a bigger expense, try to give it to us before. And we would probably take it as an event by event, but we might not have as much money. So that's why I put it up with the conferences so we can take it off the top. Anything else?
IBC, right?
Yeah. The business conference, yeah, that was the other one I was waiting for. Okay, does anybody have any questions about funding? Yeah,
I am curious about the rental car, so it's only for confirmation, right, and not event planning?
you can use a rental car for event planning, but most of the events are here, so I guess we didn't put it under this, we didn't need a rental car for that. But if you find a reason for it, then have at it. Okay. I'm trying to think what else. Hold on, I'm gonna tell Albert.
Yes.
Can you come up here for a second?
It's dark, turn the lights.
Yeah. I'm just trying to do that because I don't want to be on video. So Albert is going to tell you about the first 3 weeks of school and some events that are coming on.
Yes.
While I tell Veronica, we cut this meeting in half because we can't show you collegiately.
Okay, yes. So you went through COC funding already, Joyce?
Yep.
Well, I'll do fun stuff. So we have Welcome Week that's coming up. Your best friend, want to turn off the lights again? So we have a big event that's coming up. So I'm gonna show you the weeks of welcome. Then I'm gonna secretly do a name drop of who we're bringing. You may know already. Don't say it though if you do know. sorry. Hey, don't do it, you're compressing out the thing.
The break is starting. Once
Yeah, I know.
everybody's.
I know, I'm ready to So this is our Weeks of Welcome flyer. We're going to email this out to all the student organizations and students and incoming. We're trying to do the best we can to market these events so they're well attended. So these events are put on for everyone here at Northeastern. So these are events where you can take your members to collaboratively, to have events, to bond, so on. So next week is our welcome week. So Monday, Wednesday, we have voter registration.